We are on the air.
We are on the air live with Suzie.
And we're here. Wenatchee Wenatchee Insurance / Suzie Health Solutions, 413 North Mission Street in Wenatchee, Washington.
Yes, indeed. Welcome aboard. That's Matt. I'm Suzie. We're talking. We talk about a little bit of everything, but it has a lot to do with insurance a lot of the time.
This one is kind of not semi.
Okay, we didn't really discuss it on the way in. So what's our topic for the day?
Yeah, your surprise topic for the day.
My surprise topic for the day
is, what are signs that you're adulting well? We work with a lot of different people.
Okay.
We're no angels by no means.
Oh gosh, no.
But there are certain habits that people display that when wherever they're at, that it's like, oh yeah, they're doing it right. Or, oh no, they're a hot mess.
And there's middle ground in there.
There is middle ground. And to be fair, that whole state of perfection or state that you're doing it right.
There's no such thing as perfection.
Is a fleeting moment.
Yeah, perfection just doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, signs that you're not relying on your parents anymore.
Well, it's more than just the reliance of parents.
Okay.
Because a really good example of that is the age of 26 in health insurance.
See, I told you we're going to talk about health insurance.
Well, it's because it came up. Because they had a wonderful Good Place Jason meme about, you're 26 and you get kicked off your parents' insurance.
That's right.
It is and it isn't.
Well, no, it's right in the sense that when you're 26, that's when your parents can no longer carry you on your insurance. That's writing.
Yes, that's when allowed. Because before the Affordable Care Act, they
kick you off at 18.
No, they could kick you off at any time.
No, you had.
And there are certain times.
Usually it was 18. Usually they weren't kicking off people under 18.
Unless they had a pre-existing condition.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other conversation. They hit their maximum because they had childhood leukemia or something. Yeah,
there were lots of goofy things like that. And there's still, to this day, there are plans out there that you don't want to have.
Okay.
On your parents. One example is you're out of state going to school.
That's always tricky.
So, yeah, there are some times you don't want your parents' plan.
Well, it depends on the plan that the parents have. If it does cover situations where you're out of state because it's some magic unicorn PPO, then check yeah, take it.
I will give you a magic one that we encountered.
Okay, go ahead.
Gal was on parents' wonderful super duper plan.
Yeah.
She got pregnant.
Congratulations to her.
However,
the super duper plan
did not cover the pregnancy.
Yep. Despite the fact that she was an existing client.
And yeah, that was, one of those large group plans that were super duper wonderful. And they had to carve out the dependent's pregnancy coverage. Mm-hmm. So there are times when you don't, it's one of the, oh yeah, this might. It's when you take responsibility for yourself. That's
adulting, is when you take responsibility for yourself.
It's like, hey, yeah, am I covered under your plan, Mom and Dad? And if you hear crickets, you better go get your own plan.
Yeah. Well, okay, a really good example when I was, when I moved out of my parents' house. For a long time, I'd been covered under their car insurance because that was what you did.
Okay.
I moved out and, foolish woman that I was, because I was a girl, I was like 21, 22. Didn't have the conversation with my parents. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, well, hey, I'm getting a rig that's new to me because God knows it was not new. Mm-hmm. I should probably see about, it's time for me to get my own car insurance. So I call up, start doing, it's like, well, have you had insurance? Yeah, I've been covered under my parents. Look up my little thingy boober. Nope, you haven't been. It's like, oh, okay, let me call you back. I called my mother. Mm-hmm. Oh no, we dropped you a while ago. How come you didn't tell me? I didn't want you to worry. I wouldn't have worried, Mom. I would have got car insurance.
Yeah, we've seen that one, and it's one of those.
I lived that one.
I know. It's just like, okay, yeah. It's that grabbing that personal responsibility, and you can't abdicate that responsibility off on your parents.
No, that was, like I said, my mistake for not having the conversation, and I acknowledge that, and I own that.
It's more common than you think.
Oh, I know, and it's just one of those things. And health insurance is another one. But car insurance, health insurance, renter's insurance, you are not going to be. If you rent, it's $15 a month probably, or thereabouts, depending on how much stuff you got.
Yeah, so that's that first layer. Okay, who's got the policy?
Yeah,
and that's a real important question to ask, because they're unless you've got a ton of cash in the bank, which none of us do these days, is to who's got the policies that's got this covered, so that if something happens, I'm not financially wiped out for the rest of my life.
Exactly. And that's what insurance is about.
Yeah.
Whether it's property insurance or home health insurance, it keeps you from getting bellied up for the rest of your life.
Yeah. The fast, simple rule I have: anytime money changes hands, you'll want to look at the insurance around it.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
So yeah, insurance is one of those ones, but it kind of extends out into who's got a plan.
Yeah, and you got to figure out if you are leaving the nest, as it were.
Well,
I'm doing the adulting thing.
Oh, you're doing the adulting, okay?
Because because usually the adulting comes in when your parents need you to stop being on their stuff. Go do. And I lost my train of thought entirely.
When you leave the nest.
When you leave the nest is... Nope, it's gone.
Okay.
It'll come back, but it's gone. I'm sure it had to do with insurance.
So planning. This is actually one of those moments it was about 2 years ago. I suddenly realized I could plan what was going to happen in health insurance.
Yeah, you've just got this knack for it.
No. It's not just a knack. It's stating things that were happening in the future. Yes. And for the longest time in our industry, it's like, after that major disruption of the Affordable Care Act, everyone was like, I don't know what's going to happen.
And you just had to watch the trends.
And I could do a short cycle of, this is our rates. We know that it's going to last next year. We'll see what happens when they submit the rates, and we'll see what the legislators do. Right. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago when Washington State made some heavy moves.
They did.
And it's like, this is what's going to occur. Yeah. And they started laying, I could see where they were laying down legislation that was far enough in advance. It's like, this is what's going to happen 2 years from now. This is how we're going to move. Yeah. And I was one of the few in the industries that were able to do that. Yeah. And it was a terrifying moment. It's like, oh my gosh, we finally made it. I don't have to worry about my partner walking in. It's like, we're going to do this health insurance thing next year. I didn't have to worry about that. I knew it was like next 3 years, this is what's going to happen. Yep. And I literally started telling them, this is what you need to get ready for. Yeah.
Of course, we're coming to the third year now.
We are. Well, actually, the third year will be this November.
Yeah, 2024 coming into the third year. And then we have to start again.
And admittedly, he remembers me telling him last fall, you need to get ready. You need to get ready to do events, because when I'm going to come, I'm going to ask you for it. Yeah.
What does this have to do with adulting, my love?
Because planning is a critical part of adulting. You've gone behind that. Oh my God, I got to make rent this week. I've got to put food on the table. You're moving beyond basic survival.
It's opening the 401k. It is, it's taking control of your own health insurance and your own insurance. I'm always back to insurance. Good gravy, Suzie.
It's a
but
lot.
Yeah, no, but it's opening your 401k. It's planning it's being prepared to plan. It's planning your moves.
Your move. Are you going to take vacation? What time are you going to take off? How are you taking care of yourself?
Who's going to take care of what? Who's going to take care of your goldfish?
Yeah, when you're going on vacation.
Yeah, exactly. That's adulting.
And that is a critical component, is the ability to plan.
Yeah, well, planning lunch, planning your meals, for example. Instead of just higgledy-piggledy, going to,
I'm going to graze off the vending machines.
Yeah, God knows I've done that more than once.
I'm going to eat this bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, done that more than once. Had a bag of chips, corn chips, and cheese dip for lunch. Yeah, done that more than once. But yeah, I mean, packing your lunch, having food out so you can make dinner.
Mm-hmm.
All those things out are small steps into being and learning how to cook, knowing how to cook, learning how to cook, knowing how to cook, teaching your people how to cook.
Yeah,
that's all part of being an adult, and that's part of being a responsible human being.
Well, that's also part of business, is that ability to plan. You've got out of the, oh my gosh, I just got to take care of all these people. Oh my gosh, there's no one coming in the door. What do I do next?
So what you're saying is businesses, usually small businesses like we are, go through childhood, adolescence, and adulthood.
Yeah.
And we're achieving adulthood as a business?
Maybe.
We're starting to see some adult moves.
There are habits that are baked in that of doing it successfully.
You know what a good sign of us doing the adulting thing was? The Nova project. Supernova project. That was adulting.
Well, that is one of the things that is important about that is having people around you that validate where you're going.
Absolutely.
That is a sign of adulting.
Yeah.
It's not blindly cheerleading, because that's definitely not an adult behavior.
No.
It's not telling you what you want to hear. It's telling you what you need to hear.
Right. And the Supernova project is designed to educate. And when you're done with it, you've got this fully fleshed out business plan and a hell of a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's an adult move. That's a totally adult move. Whether you do it through a contesty project, or you take a class, or you just self-educate, that's an adult business move.
Yes. And, bless them for setting up this program. We're like the third class that's gone through in our economic district. Our economic district's made up of 3 different counties. And it's been a heck of a challenge. And that's another thing about adults, is the ability to challenge yourself.
Yes.
Because you know that you've got certain limitations, and it's not, oh, higgly piggly, we're going to climb that mountain over there. It's, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the steps to be able to ascend that mountain next month.
I'm going to take I'm not just going to go running up it in my tennis shoes. I'm actually going to plan for it.
You're
going to be Edmund Hillary.
Yeah, you're going to, get your friends along the way, and it's like, this is where we're going. And you're going to say, this is where we're going, and not, oh, we're just going to, run around until we get to the top. No.
Sorry, I just got a visual in my head. It's hilarious.
So yeah, you've got that ability to challenge yourself, because you know some of your limitations.
Yeah, and thing is, if you know your limitations, that's where having a circle of people around you that have different limitations can help fill those gaps, and you'll fill their gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Matt and I, we know each other's limitations, and we fit together like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, and that's so that you got your ability to challenge, you've got your ability to plan. Part of that challenge is knowledge.
Yes,
is that you're curious and you're seeking knowledge. Because in this day and age, it's that curiosity gets lost when you're stuck in that survival mode.
Yeah. No, absolutely true. You just work on what's coming in the next minute or hour or day or week rather than thinking more long term.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you've been in survival mode for a long time, it can be really hard to break out of that. And then sometimes you can get thrown back into it for one reason or another. I know this is true because I've experienced it.
Where I've seen that people get thrown into that really quickly is over the placeholder of either time or money.
Yeah, it's always about
if they've run critical shortages for a long time, it's easy to throw a person back into that crazy fear survival claw mode.
Oh yeah.
Money's a big one.
Money's huge.
And it's really huge with a lot of people because we work with people, sometimes they don't have a lot of money or they're really focused on a good example is someone who's lost their job.
Yeah.
And so they decide not to get health insurance,
which is common, but not the smartest budget cut.
Well, this is why they choose not to get it because they think it costs too much.
Well,
and they don't even price it.
If the only thing they've seen is their COBRA offer from the job they lost, that's the only reference point they have, and that's usually too much.
Well, yeah, that's from the Clinton era.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was before that.
No, it was 96.
Either way, the COBRA offer is what a COBRA offer is. It's a continuation of benefits. And your job is required to offer you this, you can keep your health insurance if you pay for all of it. If you look back at the health insurance you had from your employer, they were paying for a big fat chunk of it. And then
at least 50%.
At least 50% by law. So when suddenly you're paying the whole amount, it's a whole lot of money, especially if you don't have a job coming in. However, you do not have to, most people do not accept the COBRA offer because it's too expensive. There are options that are even as good or better than the COBRA option and almost guaranteed to be less expensive.
You have 60 days once you lose coverage from your employer to get you can secure health plan either through COBRA or the Affordable Care Act.
That's correct. And if you have lost your job and you have no visible source of income coming in, if it's just you and you're living on the money you've got stuffed in your mattress until you can find another job, guess what? Your insurance is going to be super affordable.
As long as you're in a state with expanded Medicaid.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I am thinking Washington State.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're starting to see is there's a shift.
Yes.
There's a very large shift because over the last 2.5 years, people have had their Medicaid automatically renewed.
Yes.
And they didn't think nothing of it.
Nope. They got on it and they just were on it.
And now we're starting to see the renewal notices come out,
which is going back to the way it's originally designed. So it's not a new thing; it's a renewal thing.
Yeah, it's called an unwinding,
right? Which is funny.
And there are some states that have done some horrible things in cutting people loose without letting them know.
Yep.
Washington State's been pretty good about sending out a lot of information out there.
They've been doing their best to spread the word. People are getting hit with mail and email and text messages and phone calls. People who are on our Washington State Medicaid are being inundated with "Don't forget to renew."
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen billboards now.
Yeah,
and that's good, and that's what we do. We, as the Full Service Enrollment Center for the Healthplanfinder, we've been doing events to spread the word. I mean, we're spending our own money to help spread the word.
And so, it's that, a group of individuals abdicated their knowledge around, hey, where does this insurance policy come from? And how do I maintain it? Or what does it cost to renew it? Or, who do I go to get a substitution?
Right. How do I stay insured?
How do I stay insured? And hundreds of thousands of people have been dropped from rolls in certain states.
Yeah, because it was all bam all at once. Our state's doing it on a rolling basis. Other states did it. It's April 30th. you renew or you're off.
Yeah.
And there was virtually no warning in those states. And there's tons of people who are running around going, at this point.
Additionally, what has occurred in the states, the red states that have passed some really horrible laws involving gender affirming care.
Oh yeah.
There's an estimated 100 to 300,000 people that have moved
out of those states.
Good. There's actually
it's a diaspora.
What do you mean a diaspora?
A big migration forced by circumstances. The Jews out of Egypt was a diaspora.
Okay. Your fancy history word for the day.
$5 word for the day. Yep. But yes, that's exactly what's happening. People who are needing gender affirming care are moving into states that are more friendly towards it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Washington. We love you here. Come.
You also see women.
Yes.
That are moving out of states
because they feel like because they're afraid for their reproductive and just general female care health.
Well, there's like North Idaho was a classic example where they've had hospitals that have shut off birth care.
Yeah.
Because they can't find any gynecologists.
Yeah.
There are states that because of how they've done their laws regarding reproductive care and women are no longer training.
Yeah.
Gynecologists.
Yep. Gynecologists are moving out of those states.
Oh yeah, because it's dangerous. You know,
they could be arrested.
Yeah.
Not just sued, but arrested and thrown in prison for looking up for doing basic women's health care.
Yeah. So you've got a creation of healthcare deserts.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, do I want to live in a healthcare desert or do I want to move?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to support this or do I need new leadership in our area?
We need to encourage new leadership because there are people who cannot move for one reason but still need care. We've got to encourage different and better leadership in the states that are shutting stuff like that down. We've got to get some of those nasty ass people out of office and replaced by people who are not nasty ass people.
Okay, off your soapbox.
Thank you. It's a fun soapbox.
This is about personal signs.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. I was on the soapbox.
Yes, I know you're passionate about that.
Vote. That's personal.
Well, voting is part of planning.
Yes, it is. It's also part of adulting.
And
our 17-year-old registered to vote last weekend. I'm very proud of him.
Yes. However, this is what I wanted to segue off to, because I've seen this lip service before.
Yes.
And in our area, we're in a very what they call purple area.
Yeah.
And some very, I guess they consider themselves conservatives. Mm-hmm. They fly under that ticket, but they're not real conservatives. Mm-hmm. The voting block of 18 to 32 in our area was one of the lowest. It actually was the lowest for all the voting blocks.
Yeah, that's nerve-wracking.
And that's because part of the whole, if you want to promote fascism, you discourage people from voting.
Yes. Or block it entirely.
Or you put steps in place.
Yeah, there are definitely
and
ways to.
And discouraging it is one of the key ones. There was actually 2 people thrown in jail because of their automated phone calls to discourage voting in districts. They use some phone automation, and
that is not legal.
And that is very illegal.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that more and more. And so when we say, hey, young person, you should really vote. In our state, they make it easy with once you're registered to vote, you can mail your vote.
Right. We got mail-in ballots. what you're seeing with the discouragement is you're getting the whole, well, if you voted, your vote doesn't mean, your vote is meaningless. Your vote doesn't mean anything.
There's another one.
Is there?
Oh yeah, this is a classic. The two parties are the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all going to be the same thing no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. That has never been less true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Straight up.
So,
it's never been less true.
So yeah,
as long as I can remember.
And that's you're out there, you're doing well. You're doing well to spend the 5 minutes it takes to fill out a form and drop it in the mail.
Doesn't even cost you a stamp anymore.
Yeah, we used to, back in the day. We had to, go and take the time off work and go vote. We don't have to do that anymore.
No, I've gone to a polling station many times.
Mm-hmm. Get your cookie. Get your I voted sticker.
Yep, I miss the I voted sticker.
Yeah.
I do. That was nice. We should get some more of those.
But yeah, that's part of the. Okay, if you really want to promote voting, you got to figure out on how to incorporate.
Yeah, how to incentivize.
How to incentivize it is socially.
Yeah, make it a party or something.
Because there's been an effort to make it horrible socially. So if you want the opposite behavior, is you got to incentivize it socially.
That's right. I just had an idea. Did you see the light bulb going over my head?
I saw it. So yeah, these are signs you're able to do more beyond that basic survival thing. And it's not, some of these things it's not money required.
No.
It's it definitely requires effort.
Yes.
And so you make the effort to better yourself, better your job.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is you have to admit that, oh my gosh, I need to improve in this area.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And be honest with yourself. Everyone's got room to grow. Mm-hmm. Everyone has room to grow. Everyone can learn something new, even every day. You could be 85 years old and been doing this forever, and there's still something you can learn. There's still room to grow. Everyone has a chance to grow in this world. Okay,
so yeah, if you're killing it, there you go. You set some aside. You're looking at the future.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is education.
Yes,
is huge, and then the last one I really look at is the ability, and we've talked about this before, mm-hmm. but it's so important. Is there's a portion of self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's really a trait of adulting. It's that delayed gratification or that self-sacrifice. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not going to Harvard, but my kids got one step closer to going to Harvard than I did.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And there's, it's like, yeah, I might not, aspire to create, do all my dreams, all my great things, or all, but my kid will be to the next. I'll make sure my kid gets to that next level. Mm-hmm. They will have more than I do, and that's that self-sacrifice that's got to go along. Mm-hmm. After you've taken care of the basic food, shelter, mm-hmm. you're not clawing through everything to make it the next thing. Is you protect that future.
Yep.
And often that it requires sacrifice in business. Mm-hmm. One of the things is there's a couple different things. One is like the development of the next product.
Yes. Which is one of the things we're doing with Wenatchee Insurance is developing the next product.
We're developing the next product. It's, there's a very easy step that do the oh my gosh, it's going wrong, shut all down and switch paths.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's what you got to do.
You cannot just shut things down when you have adversity.
Oh, no. You can't just run away from it.
And that's what I was talking about there.
Sorry.
We actually engaged in a very it's a pro human rights campaign.
Yes.
very supportive of the LGBTQ community, and we've been supportive since the very start.
Yeah, we've always been inclusive. We're just a little more blatant about it now.
Yeah, so we started way back in the day when there was the debate over gay marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the first subjects like, yeah, we need to allow gay marriage and I actually had because annuities are treated differently for when someone retires.
Mm-hmm.
The domestic partnerships exclude the carryover of those retirement annuities.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, that whole equivalency is null and void.
Correct.
They need marriage.
Yep.
And no one could argue that point.
No, because it was inarguable. But yeah, and because of our embracing of this, our inclusivity.
Yeah.
And it's not just the LGBTQIA community. It's everybody. Our mandate has always been treat everybody with respect and dignity. Everybody. You cross our threshold, we're going to help you.
Yeah, that's that for all statement.
I know.
It's a tough one.
And it's challenging sometimes.
And yeah, we've been at this long enough. It's like, oh yeah, this is not written correctly. Here, you need this.
Mm-hmm.
We see that time again where someone gets shorted the protections, and it's like, okay,
yeah, we're back on that topic. You were getting at a point.
Sometimes you face adversity.
Yes.
And that's part of the whole challenge. That's part of the whole planning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, do I go to the gym or do I eat this chocolate cake? The gym. And you have to filter through that. We actually had a couple hate calls.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, people say, hey, we're not going to use you after using all your time and getting the good advice.
It's like, okay.
And we're like, okay.
Still here if you need us.
We're still here, and you're going to be treated horribly somewhere down the road. And it's like, we treated you the best or best ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Even through that adversity, there are points where you got to keep going and you don't cave in.
No, you got to stand the ground on those principles.
So you're
going to die on that hill.
Yeah, there are certain hills to die on.
Yeah.
Human rights are one of them.
Yeah, it is.
Future, the next generation, that's one of them. Physical harm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one of them.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, there are battles out there to be fought. It's not pick your battles. There are battles.
Yeah, they're going to pick. Some of them are going to pick you.
And some of them are going to pick you. So, hey, look around you. See what, the people around you, the people you admire and view as successful, what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to all display everything.
No.
Some of the most successful people could have their house completely trashed because they're going through something.
Yep, exactly.
My grandfather was a good example. He had at least 50 projects going on, 3 outbuildings, all sorts of projects, crazy things, trees growing through snowmobiles, the whole 9 yards. But he was successful at running his little farm.
Yes, he was.
He was successful, at raising his family.
Yep, we're going long, dear.
So, hey, look at those successful traits, and we'll call it in because Suzie is cracking the whip.
Well, we're
so,
long, so
hey,
have a great week.
Yep.
Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy this lovely June, and we will talk again next.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.